Good Tuesday morning. It is the 14th of April. One more day to get the taxes done. Of course, tax day tomorrow, and things are heating up across Hampton Roads. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. You found me here at the weather desk, where each and every weekday morning, starting around 9 o'clock, we've got a half an hour dedicated to bringing you today's top weather headlines, and we've got a lot to talk about today. Let's get into those topics. What we're going to cover: some big storms across the central U.S. We've got tornadoes, large hail to talk about, and the threat isn't over. Heavy rain across parts of Michigan, that's been an ongoing issue. We've talked about the potential for flooding, but there is a Michigan dam. The residents around that dam watching those water levels very, very closely. I'll have more on that as well. We're going to look back into 1974. We jump back into the history here, and the super outbreak, a tornado outbreak, very destructive, one of those historic weather events. Evan Stewart's got a closer look at that. We're going to take a look at a Pacific super typhoon that is impacting Guam and some of the U.S. territories just north of Guam. We'll get into that, show you where it is and where it's headed next. And then we're going to take a look at an earthquake that developed across northern, or at least northwestern Nevada, not too far from Reno. They had a pretty significant earthquake. We've got some video to share you from that event last evening. Maryland still dealing with snowcrete. I was surprised to hear that was one of those big stories we were talking about earlier. All the snowcrete, where we had the excessive amounts of snow, and the cities plowed it away and carried it away to clear some of those metropolitan areas, and that snow kind of melted and froze and became basically giant blocks of ice, or this snowcrete. Well, as hot as it's been, some of that snowcrete still hanging around. Some of it's melting, and we're going to show you some of the debris that was kind of caught up in all of that snow. So kind of an interesting story there. Of course, we'll have our outlook here for Hampton Roads, and it is going to be very hot. In fact, we're flirting with records here in the mid-Atlantic, so there's a lot to break down. Right now, we're going to take you to the central U.S. and talk about storms. You'll notice things are a little bit quieter for the time being, but this was not the case earlier. The central U.S. has been dealing with severe weather, and the threat is going to stick around for the next couple of days and could impact states anywhere from Texas all the way up through the Great Lakes. So we've had one system come through, but we're not done. Now, Kansas is already feeling impacts from this system. This is a look at the storms last night around Lawrence, Kansas. So tornadoes are also confirmed to have touched down in the eastern part of the state, and we're going to take a much closer look at that in just a moment. This is a look at some of the damage in Ottawa. Twisters also destroyed multiple buildings in Lynn County and Hillsdale. That's just off to the south and southwest of Kansas. So far, only minor injuries have been reported. Now we'll take a look at how these systems have been moving along, because you can see, again, for portions of Wisconsin and Minnesota, we're going to focus more on some of the hail from that part of the country in just a moment. But I do want to take you back and show you some of the storm reports and take you back with the history of these storms. And let me just run this back to last evening. This is at 9:19. When we take a look here, we've got these areas, and you can see the lines moving through. You see a couple areas with some hooking. One down here around Mound City. Keep an eye to that, okay? Another area up here. This is the one, again, that we just showed you some video from, and there was another one out around Ottawa. Those are the three areas that we just had video as we show you, and we can jump forward with this. And again, I'm going to take you back, show you just south of Spring Hill, all right? That area right in there, around 10 Mile. Tornado there. There's this other one you can see south of Franklin, how that kind of curls up, some very intense rain through there. And again, this reservoir, the Hillsdale Reservoir, that's where that one tornado was confirmed. We can show you some of the storm reports that came out last evening. Again, this was all caught on video and photos. A tornado on the ground, and that was around 8:18. Of course, that was Central Time. Now, as we take a look, we had some other reports. Again, social media photos showing tornado on the ground southwest of Spring Hill, down to the south. Back in Lynn County, spotter reported tornado crossing the road around Pleasanton. So there were these tornadoes actually confirmed down on the ground in those areas. Now, off to the north, different impacts, same system, but up this way it was actually large hail. You see all the storm reports across Minnesota, and we'll zoom into one area in particular, and Denison. Okay, we take a look here. If we go back, I'll pull up that storm report right there, and guess what? They had large hail reported in Denison. As you can see, hail size 3 1/3 inches. Let's take a look. Right now, Minnesota residents are dealing with it. Again, that video was taken in Denison, and while that hail is still pretty big, in some areas it was even bigger. Again, baseball-size hail for these areas falling from the sky. Now, in addition to all of this hail that was reported back across Minnesota, we also have heavy rain. And as we take a look at northern Michigan, let's zoom in to the map and take you up here. Look at all the reports of excessive rainfall. You see Sheboygan, we're going to talk more about that. And again, the heavy rain, just to give you one of the reports, Indian River there in the county of Sheboygan, about 2 inches. So heavy rain, that has been an issue up across parts of Michigan. People in those areas being told to have an evacuation plan in place. Right now, water levels at the Sheboygan Dam in Michigan have reached the ready mark. Now, this is part of the Ready, Set, Go system. It's a 3-stage warning tool used to signal when residents should evacuate. The ready mark is reached when water is 12 inches below the top of the dam. The next level is set. Set occurs when the water is 6 inches below the top of the dam, and go is when the water is just an inch below the top of the dam. All right, in nearby Emmett County, part of the famous tunnel of trees washed away over the weekend after heavy rain and snow melted. Now, according to the Michigan Department of Transportation, the culvert washout and slope failure happened between Goodhart and Cross Village. Crews are now working on a repair plan, but a reopening date still hasn't been announced. All right, so that's what's going on up in Michigan, and you can see, again, more rain. At least a little earlier, lighter rain. Will continue to monitor all that. Do want to update you on some of the wet weather down to the south, Springfield to Champaign, back across Illinois. In Chicago, Illinois, they had rain earlier, starting to catch a little break up in the Windy City, and you can see down to the south, there's still some areas around Springfield monitoring the showers. There's also wet weather and a new thunderstorm warning. This just popped up near Rochester, so we'll take this full for a second, and I'm going to go ahead and put up the information on this thunderstorm warning. Again, this is just down now, so let's take a look at our thunderstorm warning near Rochester. This is for the cities of Rochester, Henrietta, Perrington, and Webster. About 576,000 people affected by this thunderstorm warning, and it will run until 9:30, so another 19 minutes or so on that one. We're going to continue to monitor all of that for you. Back across Utah, some snow, and the snow into Colorado as well. They're happy to get anything. Remember, they've been in exceptional drought, not just severe or extreme, but exceptional drought for the northwest part of Colorado. So a little bit of beneficial snow right there. As you can see across much of the country, we're getting some dry conditions still down to the south along the Gulf and out along the west coast as well. So we'll continue to monitor all of that. You can see also we've got the severe weather threat coming up again today. So they're not done with this yet. Up across Iowa, into Wisconsin, northern Illinois, and back across southern Michigan, some of the areas hit hard earlier, set up to get hit again, and another area of great concern down across Oklahoma. As we zoom in, you can see there's a second tier kind of elevated threat for tornadoes from Wichita on down south into north central Texas. But I really want to key in on this area across Iowa, back into southern Wisconsin. You can see Madison and Milwaukee, down to areas just north of Chicago, back over towards Dubuque, Waterloo, Cedar Rapids, and back towards Des Moines. This area has that third level of elevated threat for tornadoes. Now, one thing I'll mention, a lot of times when we show you the tornado outlook, we'll have hashed areas showing the likelihood of stronger tornadoes. Right now, Storm Prediction Center does not have that designation for this area, but still, there is that potential for numerous tornadoes later today, so we'll continue to monitor that. In addition, large hail potentially for that same area and then back across Oklahoma, and obviously some very gusty winds in that same general area. So this is that region in the country that we were saying wasn't just a one and done thing with a storm system coming through and now you're good. These folks need to continue to be mindful of it today and again tomorrow. This is the Wednesday severe weather outlook. Very little change there. It will shift a little bit by Thursday, but we had that severe weather threat this area yesterday. We showed you the tornadoes in eastern Kansas and then back up parts of Iowa and into southern Minnesota with that hail. So this same area very much under the gun. And as we take a look across Missouri, back up to eastern and southeastern Iowa, northern Illinois, up through Chicago, they need to be mindful. Tornado potential a little bit greater down across Oklahoma. You can see general thunderstorms, again, expected for a large area. But this area from Wichita Falls through Lawton, Oklahoma City, and just out west of Tulsa really needs to be mindful of potential tornadoes. Looking ahead to Thursday, it shifts a little farther to the east, and it's just a marginal outlook at this point from Cleveland and Detroit through Fort Wayne, Cincinnati, and all the way down through Paducah, Kentucky. A lot to watch here in the coming days, for sure. All right, we're going to take a short break. In 2 minutes, we're going to come back because this month marks 52 years since one of the deadliest weather events in U.S. history. We'll have a look back at the 1974 super tornado outbreak. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller from the 13 News Now studios. Want to talk to you now about one of the most violent tornado outbreaks in U.S. history. It struck this month in 1974. Meteorologist Evan Stewart takes us back 52 years to see how the deadly outbreak accelerated the advancement of tornado research.
In April 1974, one of the most violent tornado outbreaks in U.S. history unfolded in just a matter of hours. The 1974 super outbreak produced 148 tornadoes in only 18 hours, stretching from the Deep South all the way to the Great Lakes. Now, what makes this event so extraordinary is the intensity. An incredible 30 tornadoes were rated F4 or F5, some staying on the ground for more than 50 miles. In Indiana, entire communities were flattened as multiple tornadoes tore through the state in rapid succession. And in Ohio, the city of Xenia was devastated. Homes, schools, and businesses nearly wiped off the map in minutes. Altogether, nearly 330 people were killed and thousands more were injured. But this outbreak also changed meteorology forever. It exposed critical gaps in warnings and communication, but it led to major advancements in tornado forecasting, storm spotter networks, and eventually Doppler radar. So today, when severe weather strikes, the systems that help keep us safe, they were built on lessons learned from those devastating 18 hours in 1974.
That's very interesting, Evan. Thank you for that story. Again, mother necessity, that's what spawns all of these advancements in the invention. All right, as we look forward, we're going to take one more break. A typhoon slams American territories in the Pacific Ocean, plus an earthquake shakes parts of the West Coast overnight. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Right now we have a super typhoon, Sinlaco, and it is impacting Guam and some of the northern territories, some of the islands just north of that. These are remote U.S. territories in the Pacific Islands, and we can take a little closer look again. Guam here, the system passing to the north, so that puts it on the left side of the system as it's moving along. It's a little more violent, a little farther to the north, but take a look at this video. It shows Guam getting hit with the heavy rain and the tropical storm force winds, again on the left side of the system as it is moving forward to the west-northwest. This was hours before its arrival. While Guam isn't expected to take the direct hit, obviously we showed you the center of that super typhoon farther to the north. The island is home to 170,000 people and several American military installations. So we continue to watch that in the Mariana Islands off to the north. Again, that's a look at the super typhoon. It's going to cross over those islands and off to the northwest as it continues to move along. We will, of course, keep a close eye to things. Remember, we've also been talking a lot about the unsettled weather in Hawaii. Rain continues to impact Hawaii, at least the western islands, and we'll continue to watch as some more of this moisture is set to kind of stream in along that area. I want to talk to you about earthquakes right now. We're going to head to Nevada, and you can see there have been a few more recent earthquakes, but they've been smaller down across California. This larger circle indicates the bigger one I want to talk about occurring last evening. So this is a closer look at the area, and you can see again Reno, and here's Silver Springs. This area right here, as we zoom in a little closer, and there have been multiple aftershocks. 5.7. That was the magnitude at a depth of 6 miles. So this, again, a pretty strong quake, and we've got some video to show you. Take a look. This is the aftermath in Silver Springs. You can see the shaking knocked over several items from the shelves inside the store, and residents say they weren't expecting it.
It was pretty bad. I thought the house was going to bounce off the foundation.
I was actually on the toilet while it was going on.
This was a complete shock.
It caught you off guard, huh?
Oh yeah, it did. It was literally, the house was bouncing up and down. I'm originally from Southern Cal, and we get rollers down there for the most part. This wasn't a roller, this was a bounce.
So aftershocks from this earthquake were felt across California, and again, strong enough with that 5.5. That was the original designation for this one back here, but as I searched a couple of the other reports that came in, they did have it to 5.7. So very impressive. A pretty good shake there, not too far from Reno. All right, we're going to take one more quick break. A pile of snow from February still standing in Maryland, what people are finding underneath. And we've got some really hot temperatures to talk about, near record highs this week. I'll have it for you, the full forecast after the break. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. It's been a couple months since a winter storm dumped several inches of snow across much of the East Coast. Some areas got a lot more than that, and believe it or not, you know, one of the areas where they cleared it away and stored it turned into snowcrete. There's one massive pile still standing in Baltimore, Maryland, but with temperatures in the 80s this week, it's finally starting to melt away, revealing a pile of debris and trash underneath it. Since February, the city has made this one of 3 dumping grounds for snow. The remnants are in the parking lot at an Old Town mall, with the slope of the pile pushing the height of the nearby streetlights. That's crazy. Well, again, the snowcrete finally starting to melt. You see all the debris there. We're going to focus on our warm temperatures here in Hampton Roads. Yesterday, 84, 4 degrees off the record. We've got more heat in the forecast. Take a look at the next 10 days. Today, we're going to be in the upper 80s. Tomorrow, upper 80s near 90 and 88 on Thursday. Our record high for today is 90. Tomorrow, it's 90 and 91 on Thursday. So we're very close to records here in Hampton Roads over the next 3 days. As we head into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, mid-80s, and then much cooler as we start next week. As a front's coming through on Sunday, that's also going to give us a good chance for showers. Temperatures recover as we get into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're back above average. Now, taking a look at the rain chances, still very, very low as we go along. You're only going to find maybe a sprinkle or two out there up on the eastern shores. I'll show you on the radar. We actually had a little tiny sprinkle, but there's really no good chances anytime soon. Slight chance for a couple of showers off to the north Friday, and then isolated to maybe scattered on Sunday with the front coming in. You'll notice as we look out 8 to 14 days, finally, maybe a little wetter than normal, potentially here in the mid-Atlantic, certainly wetter than normal back across the central U.S., the Mississippi and Ohio River valleys. So we'll watch that. Drier out for the southwest U.S. And then the temperatures again continuing to be above normal for the southeast and along the Gulf Coast here through the mid-Atlantic as well. Looks like temperatures returning to normal across the northwest. That's a look at that 8 to 14 day outlook. Want to mention tree pollen still very high to extreme. Grass pollen is moderate. We do have temperatures up a little bit from this time yesterday. We're going to reach those highs, as I mentioned, into the upper 80s this afternoon. Over the next 9 hours, temperatures are going to reach the mid to upper 80s. That's right at the coast where the winds are blowing 10 to 15 knots, up to 20 on the bay. A quick live look outside with the Thompson Creek Window Company Sky View. Not looking bad. As I mentioned, we did get a couple of passing sprinkles for the eastern shore, but basically there is nothing significant anytime soon. We're going to see the sunshine and the warmer weather. Tax day tomorrow, a hot one. We'll see another chance for a few showers off to the north on Friday, and then hot through the weekend with that cold front coming through on Sunday, some showers, and then cooler weather into early next week. I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Weather Desk. Again, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.